Hello, I'm Ross Middleton, your host on Grow Your Own on the BMA Hydroponics channel. Tell your friends, put BMA Hydroponics in the search bar on YouTube. Our channel will come right up, and there's well over 70 videos on how to grow just about any way you can imagine. This particular episode is our 2026 indoor season. It's January 21st, 2026. And we've already done a little bit of work in the room, and the room is right over here next to me. It is actually a spare bedroom, but we basically converted that spare bedroom into our grow room. And then, of course, when we're done, we'll convert it back into the bedroom again, because we get a lot of guests out here since we moved to Nova Scotia. You know, we have family coming out to see us, and they have a place to stay, and it's pretty awesome. And we have a great place to grow. So let's get her going. I'll take you through what we've already done, and we're going to have a really special thing to show you, and that is a really neat LED light that we're going to be using, and we'll be unboxing that shortly. So stay tuned. It's coming right up. Okay, so this is the room we're going to be using. Like I say, it was a bedroom. We've converted it into a grow room. This is the work we've already done. You can see we've got a cage built. So basically what this cage is the internal structure of a 5-foot by 5-foot gorilla grow tent. So we're just using the structure itself because this is a nice strong light hanger. And you see this is a finished bedroom. We don't want to mess around without light. We don't want to mess around with anything in here. In fact, we want to just leave everything the way it is so that when it's all done, we can put the bed, there's the headboard, the frame, and we can put it all back together as a bedroom after we're done. So today being January 21st, it's probably going to be probably getting towards the end of March before we actually do our harvest. This is our 4-foot by 4-foot. Some people call it ebb and flow. A lot of people call it ebb and flow, actually. Personally, I think that flood and drain is the better technical term for it. So what it has is a reservoir that goes down underneath, and it pumps water. It floods the tray. We're going to have basket pots in here with cocoa fiber in them, and so it'll be a cocoa fiber grow. And there'll be 9 plants, so it'll be a 3 by 3 for 9 plants. This structure right here is for trellis netting. So you see it's got little hooks on it, and you can go up and up and up and raise it up as high as you can. There's one at each corner. So that's going to hold the trellis netting that the plants are going to grow up through, and it will help to keep them stable as those buds get big and fat and heavy, because you know they're going to do that. So you best take the measures right off the start. First thing we have to do is unbox the photo vial. So we're going to do that first, and then have to decide if there's anything we have to do to reinforce this structure to hold the weight, because I'm thinking that this photo bio, just judging by toting it around like I have, is probably in the, I'm going to say at least 50 pounds. I might just go ahead and just weigh it just for fun. But let's take a closer look at it here. You'll see this is what it looks like basically right there. Okay, and over on this side, we can probably see what something like this might cost. So this is not cheap. This is a $1,500 photo bio LED. So if you see LEDs online and you know they're a couple $100 or $300-400, even $500, it's not going to be worth a crap. Okay, it's just not a good light. This particular light is the best LED on the market, bar none, and this will give you awesome results, and the proof is in the pudding. I'm going to show you how good it works. So there's our view out the window, and of course this window needs to be blocked. So what we will be doing is we will be covering this window with black and white plastic with the white side facing out, so it'll give it some reflective value. We will also be putting a slit in the black and white somewhere around here. We're going to take the screen out of this window, and then what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to open this window a little bit at some point. if I unlock it, maybe. There we go. And this will be our drain. So we will have our reservoir over here. We will drain it out this window into the ground there. We don't want to use it down the drain because we have a septic system and we don't want to overload that septic system with nutrients and other things like that. So it's just going straight out onto the ground out there. So we're going to give this a good cleanup. We're going to, first of all, we'll clean, and wipe it all down, get all that crud off. And then after we get all the crud off, we're going to take some alcohol, probably some ethyl alcohol or possibly isopropyl. Haven't decided which one, either one will work. I'm kind of leaning towards isopropyl. It's a harsher alcohol, but that's good because it'll get rid of anything that may be organic that's left on here that's going to come back and haunt you later. So that's why cleanliness is essential in growing, especially indoors, because there's all kinds of pathogens and things like that can be left laying in there, and we don't want any of those getting into the cocoa fiber. Once it gets into the cocoa fiber, you're done. I will mention too that we will be using canna nutrients. Okay, so this is how the photobio comes packed. So all the components are in here. Everything's well protected with some pretty hefty styrofoam. It's even got corner bits and stuff like that. This is what you get when you get a quality light. Is everything is thought of, everything is taken care of. So here it is. Let's get busy. Start unpacking this thing and get a better look at it. Now again, this is not the simplest light in the world. In fact, it is a complex piece of equipment, and it has to be set up properly, and that's a good thing. That's what we want. We see we've got these attachments here, and that is to run the power through these cables right here, and you can see there's a matching attachment that goes with that. So that's going to run down, I believe, into the plug, but until we get this thing out of the box, we won't know for sure. So let's get going. So component number 2, let's see, it hooks up to that. I believe this is probably our power generator. So this is going to drive the LED fixture, which is still in the box here. We'll begin that in a second. In the meantime, it's just good to get everything out, make sure that you have all the parts, and there's nothing missing. And here we have probably the most valuable component in the whole box, and that is the directions for the photobio. You see what it looks like when it's all opened up. It's a pretty big light. This is folded in half. So each one of these is a side, and those sides appear to be about 30 inches, another 30 inches. So you're talking about 5 feet across, and this is a 4 foot by 4 foot table. So 5 feet across, that's all the way from one side to the other of the table. And it's also going to spread from side to side quite nicely because it's got to be, I don't know, I'll have to measure that, but it looks like about 36 or 40 inches width by a good 5 feet the other direction. So let's get her opened up and have a look. Okay, so there's the unit in all of its glory. Again, it's you see, it's a big one. Gonna get a tape measure. Gonna give it a little dimensional evaluation and see how that's gonna fit up here. And hope that I don't have to reinforce this. I don't think I will, but we'll keep that in mind. Okay, so first page on the user manual. Surprise, surprise, it does not come with a plug-in power cord. So cable harness and accessories sold separately. So we have to get ourselves a cable harness, and I'm hoping that's not too hard to get. I'm gonna go online, I'm gonna search Phantom, find out if we can get a power cable from them and get it here ASAP, because without that we can't get this light going. Okay, so let's so we'll just go for the Phantom photobio on our search engine here and see what comes up. And there we go, photobio LED lighting systems. They still have a website, that's encouraging. You know, sometimes these places go out of business and you're out of luck, but fortunately it looks like they are still in business, and that's a good thing. Let's see what they've got in the way of power cables. So I've clicked on products, got this drop down menu, and it's saying accessories, so we'll just go to accessories, see what comes up. Okay, here we go. So see if we can find that component that we need. Okay, so that's a 240, 277, sorry, 277. Ah, here we go. This is the one we need right here. So give that a click. I don't think that's gonna help us, but yes, I believe this is the one. So this is, we're going on 120 volt. We don't have any 240, otherwise you'd be using it with the sideways bars. That would be their 240. And of course, if you're using 277, you got this weird looking connection here. So it's going to be 110 volt, so 120, 110 to 120 plug. So let's see if we can get one of these on order and see how long it takes to get here. Well, this is a good thing. It says here that they are in Canada. So in Canada, we can use this number, use this email, and make our requests that way and place our orders for what we need there. Otherwise, we have to go to one of their other carriers like the hydroponic stores, which are, I don't think there is even one in Canada. So I'm going to try to order direct from PhotoBio and see if I can get it from them. That would be ideal. Otherwise, it's going to be going to one of these other stores, and I don't want to go through a store. I'd rather go through them. Okay, so we're just giving the table a nice clean with some ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol is a good sterilizer, so if there's any kind of pathogens on here, it'll kill it. And it also helps to get off all that old, those old scum stuffs like you see over here. Get rid of all this stuff over here. Make it look all nice and clean and just like new again. Now I'm going to use some fresh paper towels, and this will give you an idea of it, what we're getting rid of. See, look at all this stuff. That's why we're doing this. Get rid of all that crummy stuff. Make sure it doesn't come back to haunt us. Yep. I'll just mention too that you don't have to use ethyl alcohol. You can also use isopropyl alcohol. That's just fine too. Both of those will do the same job. We just happen to have a lot of reclaim ethyl alcohol on hand, and might as well use up some of the reclaim. And I allowed some of the alcohol that was in these grooves to run down through these holes. And of course they run down through the holes and into the reservoir down underneath, which also needs to be cleaned. Everything has to be sterile. Everything has to be clean. Flood and drain, or flow, whatever you choose to call it, is susceptible to pathogens if you are not practicing good housekeeping. And this is what you call good housekeeping right here. You can see that. There you go. Okay, I think we're good to go for right now. You can see there is a little bit of white on there, and that is that's some hardcore salt stains, and it's extremely hard to get that off, just even with alcohol and wiping and everything. What I can tell you about it is that whatever minuscule residue is left over is completely sterile because it's been soaked with alcohol. And alcohol sterilizes everything, including residual salts. So I think that's good enough for now. Let's get on and wipe out the reservoir. So as you can see, a lot of the alcohol ran down in here into the reservoir. So we're having our second use out of the alcohol. Nothing goes to waste. So just reusing the cloth I was using up there, and I'm just going to use it to soak up a little bit of this alcohol. Get a little start on the cleanup. We got a lot more to do before we get it completely clean. Again, residuals aren't that important if they've been sterilized. If you have residuals that have not been sterilized, that could be an issue. for now. So there you go. Lots of filthy crud. I think we got it just about all taken care of. Just give it a final wipe. Again, there might be some residual salts on there. It's hard to get all the residual salts off. But what I can say is it's sterile, so not a worry. Okay, so I think we got everything cleaned up and sterilized just about as good as it's going to get. So what do we do next? I guess what we're going to do is we're going to hang this T5 light, because what we're going to do is, see, I've got these heavy duty hangers. These are ready to go for when we put up the photo bio, because that thing is heavy. It's probably 70, 80 pounds. So this is the kind of hanger that you want, and this is adjustable. I can push this button. I can adjust it up and down. It's probably going to stay up near the top because it's going to be a very bright light. So probably where I've got right now is a good starting point. However, the T5 light, which is this one here, I might want to bring that one down some, because we're going to actually start plants down here on the surface down here, and we're going to start from seed, and we have some feminized seeds, but they're old, so we don't know if they're going to go. We're going to give them a try, but probably we're going to end up with regular seeds. So what that means is that once they get up to about their third set of leaves, we're going to have to put the light into 12 and 12 and make sure it's completely dark in this room, which means taking care of this window right here. So we've got some black and white plastic, and we will put a sheet of black and white plastic over top of that window that will cut that light right out. And of course, this light turns off, so no worries there. And then when I close this door over here, we have complete darkness inside here, and that's what you want. You want complete darkness. Any kind of light penetrating through it, or light pollution, as I might say, would hurt your plant's ability to flower and commit to flowering. So it's got to be totally dark and totally light. Something else we have to take note of is how many outlets do we have in this room. And fortunately we have two. So there's a double outlet here, and there's a double outlet here. If that is not enough outlets, because we've got to run pumps, we've got to run air stones, we've got to run a light, we've got to do all of these things. So I do have a special kind of extension cord that's got multiple plugs on the end, so I can actually turn one of these into three if I have to, and that's only if I have to. I don't think I'm going to have to do that, but it's there if we need it. So we now have our 4-bank T5 light ready to go. Again, you got an extra plug here too if you wanted to like daisy chain them or something, I guess. But there's another outlet if we need it, right? Anyway, the first thing to do is to get this all taken care of. I'm going to go up and over and down, and we'll have a timer plugged into that outlet over there that it will be plugged into. Okay, so I've zip tied the power cable to this trellis bar, and we gotta just make sure of one more thing, and if you kind of look at it, it's a little bit lower on this end than this end, so I'm just going to drop this end down a little bit, make it completely level. I think we got a pretty good height going there. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, so the best way to know if you're actually got the light level or not is to measure the distance, and you see we've got 18 1/4 on this end. We go down to this end over here. And there, and pretty much 18 1/4 right there too. So that is nice and level. Perfect. Okay, timer's plugged into the wall. You're probably noticing it's upside down. That's because all the plugs in this house are what we would call, when we came from Ontario, we would call that upside down. Usually you notice that the ground plug part is on the bottom and the two slots are on the top. Out here in Nova Scotia, they tend to do things the other way. Our electrician, who's a really good electrician, told us that this is probably actually the better way to do it. So we're good with it, and the timer's good with it. Yeah, it's upside down, but that's okay. Like I say, you don't have to read it, you just have to click it. Okay, so I've wiped the mushroom siphon valve down with alcohol, and that's what you need to do. And you're saying, well, geez, what the heck's a mushroom siphon valve? Okay, well, the way that works is it goes down into this bigger hole right here, and it comes up from underneath. And the way it works is you push 1/2 inch tubing up inside. Oh, just get away on me. So you push 1/2 inch tubing up inside there. So depending on how far you push the tubing in, that will be the depth of the water in your flood and drain table. So I'm going to say probably 2 inches or so before it starts to drain. So I will push 1/2 inch tubing up about 2 inches inside there, and then every time the water gets to about 2 inches, this mushroom siphon valve, and the reason they call it a siphon valve is because as soon as it hits that level and the water starts to come through, it acts like a siphon and it actually sucks the water out. So it's not just like a passive drain, it'll suck the water right out of there real fast, and it's a pretty cool thing when you think about it. Okay, so you can see I've got the washer in there. You want the washer between the siphon valve and the table. If you put it underneath, that's not going to work very good. So up on top between this and the table, and then when it's sealed, it makes a nice solid seal that won't leak. Okay, and the mushroom siphon valve is in place. So next we got to take care of this hole. This hole right here is the intake. So that goes down underneath, and this is where your pump will be down here. So the pump will have 1/2 inch tubing. It'll come up, and the tubing will, this will have a fitting into it, a straight fitting, and I'll show you the fittings in a bit. But first I have to get the grommet in there, and then we put a straight connector in, and then the tubing goes up on that straight connector, and then it fits down on the pump down here. And every time it goes off, it shoots up, probably about this high until it fills the table where the level you set here is, and then this starts to take it down. So you could end up overlapping a little bit. This could still be pushing water in while this one's sucking it out. The good part is that this will suck it out probably faster than this one will put it in, so you don't have to worry about overflows or anything like that. But if you got your timer set right, it's not going to do that. And there's your grommet. Nice and tight, fit in there. And we'll have a straight fitting in there, just a little bit above, so it doesn't, fill any higher than it needs to. This will take care of that, though. Well, that's it for today, January 22nd, 2026, and we made some good headway today. Got our light hung, ready to go. We've got some seeds that are ready for soaking and sprouting and whatnot. We still have to get a few more solo cups. We'll use solo cups to get things started, and of course we'll put cocoa in the solo cups because we're going to be growing in basket pots with cocoa. So everything has to be the same. Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. And I'm going to be starting some seeds. So we've got a lot of seeds that we're going to put into the mix. We're only going to have 9 plants, so we've got a lot to choose from. Hopefully we get a good germination rate, and we get at least 1 or 2 of each strain. We will then put those into solo cups with cocoa core, which Deb's picking up in town tomorrow. But in the meantime, what I've got here is a whole bunch of paper towels, all bunched up, folded over, ready to go. I got a little bit of water here to moisten that, and I'm going to put it on top of this heat mat. I'll plug the heat mat into the wall over there, and it's just going to keep the plate warm, and it puts a barrier between the plate and the seeds themselves, so that you don't have like seeds directly on a heat mat. You don't want that. That's going to be too hot. So the plate actually is going to absorb the heat, and it's also going to reduce the amount of heat that it's transferring into the seeds here. So here's what I've done. I've made a list. Okay, and this is the order they're going to go in. So I've got Blue God, Nicole Star, Michigan Mouth, Monkey Berry, whatever, Keith Richards, Astropop times Keith Richards, some 2024 unnamed seeds, and some of the Bunchberry you may have seen in the outdoor series. So here they are. Here's all the seeds. Let's get this this thing moistened. And you can make it really good and moist. I mean, we don't really want any standing water. So if there is any standing water left in the plate after I'm done, I will pour it off back into the measuring cup. So in the meantime, that's I'm gonna get that in there all nicely. Nice and moist. Okay, so yes, we do have a little bit of excess here. So Just give me a minute and I'll pour that back into the cup. And I'm gonna go ahead and just plug this into the wall outlet. That will get this mat started heating, and that's the excess water that I poured off the plate. But this is nice and wet and juicy, and that's the way you want it, because you want the seeds to get a really nice coating. Some of these seeds are a little bit older, and some are newer. What you find is that the older seeds that have been around for a long time, the shell will harden, and sometimes it makes it harder for it to germinate, so it might have to soak a little longer. Fresher seeds are going to be probably going to sprout faster, and more of them will sprout. So we're kind of hoping for our best on these ones, because they are some old seeds. Everything else is pretty new. Okay, so here's the Blue God seeds, and they're pretty big and fat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the darkest ones that I can find, and use those. Darker ones are usually a little more mature than lighter ones. You don't want to use seeds that are kind of whitish looking or anything like that, because they may be premature and may not germinate as well. So you can see that there's some, like right there, there's a nice dark one. There's several nice dark ones. So let's go make a line across here and get those going. So next we got Skippy Rush seeds, and this particular one's called Nicole Star. These were bred by a former customer of ours from BMA Hydroponics, and unfortunately she's no longer with us, but in any case, this is in honor of this particular person who is no longer with us, and it's in her honor that we do this. So here we go with Nicole Star and Skippy Rush. We've got the one line out of the Blue God, and you see Nicole Star's next. So next we got the Michigan Mouth times Monkey Berries, and that's an interesting name. And this is the funny thing about cannabis, is everybody gets to name their own strain, and they get to come up with their own whatever name you want. So I kind of like that, because then I get to name my own too. But names really don't mean much. It's what the plant looks like. It's how it yields, how potent it is. All of those things are what make a plant important. The name is meaningless, so it's just an identifier so that we know which one's what. So the next one to go is Keith Richards, and you've heard that name a lot probably, because we've been growing Keith Richards for some time now. These were from outdoors. I had a male and a female Keith Richards, so I was able to take a Keith Richards male and pollinate a Keith Richards female, and as you can see, I've got quite a few seeds. So I think these are going to germinate quite readily, as they are a lot fresher. And next we have Astropop times Keith Richards, and you'll see there's Astropop number 1, Astropop number 2. If you did see the 2024 outdoor, you'll see that I grow both of those phenotypes, and that's what they are, is 1 and 2 are different phenotypes of the Astropop times Keith Richards. The number 1 turned really, really red. It was a very red looking strain. Number 2 was completely different looking, and that's what you get when you have a first cross, an F1 phenotype. You get instability, so you'll get some plants will look a certain way, other plants will look different. And finally we have bunchberry. So there you go, there's your bunchberry. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different strains, all listed out here in order, and we'll keep this around just for reference. Okay, and the waiting begins. So this would be officially the beginning of the 2026 indoor series, I would say. Seed germination is the start. So we've got ourselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 7 different strains here. And all we're going to grow is 9 plants. So all these seeds are going to produce a lot of seedlings. We're going to put them into solo cups with COCO coir in them, because COCO coir is what we're going to be growing in basket pots once we get the 9 plants established. So having a good number of plants to choose from is a really good thing, because you're going to get superstars and you're going to get some not so good seeds. So we're going to take the really nice, vigorous growing plants that are seedlings that look like they're really, just itching to go, and those ones will be selected and put into the solo cups. I think I've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 solo cups. Out of those solo cups, we still have to do sexing on almost all of them. So that means that we have to put we have to let the seedlings get up to their third set of leaves. And once they get to the third set of leaves, we will have this room completely darkened. There'll be plastic, black and white plastic across the window. It'll be completely dark in here. And once they do germinate and we put them in those solo cups, we will put the 4-bank T5 on, and it'll be on 18 hours on, 6 hours off. And that just ensures that they stay in a vegetative cycle. And when we go into flower, we'll change that cycle to 12 hours on and 12 hours off, and that will trigger the flowering. We're a long way to go yet before we get there, but we got a good start going here. So next step is to put some holes in the bottom of these solo cups, because you don't want them holding water. Obviously, they got to have some drainage, so you can't overwater them, right? Like, I mean, if you overwater them, it's just going to drain out through the bottom and into the tray. I have a tray that I'm going to put these in. So let's get busy. Let's put about, I don't know, say 4 holes, about that big around in each one. That should be adequate drainage. And there you have it. 4 holes in each one. Ready to go. So there you go. 17 cups in one tray. It's a little bit crowded in there, but once we get a little COCO core in there and they get wet, they'll get a little heavier and they'll all sit kind of straight. But there you go. 17 is what we're going to start with. We only want to get up to 9 good ones. So we've got a pretty good ratio there. Even if it was, so like it's almost double. So you're going to get probably 9 good ones, and we're hoping for the best. Everybody's ready to go. Heat mat is on. Got extra water to keep these damp. I'll check them, once or twice a day just to make sure that they're staying nice and moist. And I will look for germinating seeds. And as the seeds germinate, I will put them into one of these cups, which will have COCO core in them. And then I will identify with, with a Sharpie on the outside exactly what particular strain is in what cup. And then we go from the cups, we go into basket pots, and we go into flood and drain. Thursday, January 29th, we have the PhotoBio light assembled. It was a bit of a challenge, but we managed to get through it. You notice this cable over here, that's just a daisy chainer, so you're not even going to use that. It just connects directly to the unit, and the power plug connects directly to the unit as well. So it's all ready to go. We got our hangers. So you see these nice steel outlets there. So there'll be 4 hangers. And I had originally put up this particular frame. This particular frame is from a less quality tent. The actual Gorilla tent poles are much stronger. So I've just been disassembling this particular frame, and I'm going to be getting the Gorilla frame and assembling that. So here's the bag containing the actual really sturdy Gorilla Grow Tent poles. And just to show you the difference, that's the frame we did have up there. And in comparison, you can see it's just, there is no comparison. The Gorilla is much stronger, and we're going to need that because this particular frame we were going to hang it on had a maximum weight of 60 pounds. And I'm estimating that that LED light is probably in the neighborhood of 70 or 70 plus pounds. So we don't want to have anything that's not going to hold the load. This particular frame will definitely hold the load. All right, Gorilla Grow Tent instructions. We just need the poles. We have all the parts. We won't be doing any of this part because there'll be no walls. So this is what we want to achieve in the end. And you can see that there's much sturdier corners, much sturdier poles, and that will definitely hold the load. So to get it started, we need 4 poles marked A and 4 corners. So I've got all the poles here that are marked with the A, and those are for the bottom. These poles are so much better and so much easier. They got, instead of friction fit, they just pop into place. This little button pushes out, and we're all good to go. Okay, so next we're going to do B. So we're going to get all the B poles, put those in, followed by the C poles, and then this extender here, which I think I'm going to go ahead and use. It just raises it up a little bit extra. So I'll probably be putting that in 2. But in the meantime, we're on to B. We'll go alphabetically, and I think that's the way it's meant to be. A, B, C, D, etc. There you go. All the B poles are all in place. Now it's time for C. So looking for these C plus extenders, but I'm not finding them. I don't think they came in the box. They might be something you have to get extra, just to give you a little extra height. But as it stands right now, just looking at where they are in comparison to this light up here, I think that's going to be just perfect right where it is. So there will be no extenders. We're now going to put the angle pieces up here and the other straights going across that way. And top corners are in place. So everybody's got a top corner. Now we're going to take the matching A poles that go down on the bottom, and you can see them down there. They're the same length. So A poles can go on the bottom or on the top. It doesn't matter. Okay, so there you go. That's the basic frame all assembled. Now we've got some cross pieces that are going to cross over here, and it looks like it's just going to miss that light. So this is the perfect height. So these are the top supports, and you can see that one is deeper than the other. See, this is a shallower, and this one's deeper. So the deeper ones go on first, and that allows the upper ones to cross across them and gives them the space they need. Okay, so low hangers are in place. Time to put the shorter hangers up above them. So there you have it. The grid is in place. I could, if I wanted to, I could grab onto these and I could do chin-ups on those. That's how strong this is. I'm not going to do chin-ups because, you know, the table's on the way. But I could if I wanted to. This is an awesome frame, way better than the other one, which was from a Mammoth tent. This Gorilla tent has much hardier tent. I mean, it's a stronger tent by far. It's by far the best quality you can get on the market. So again, we have the heavy duty hangers, and it takes heavy duty hangers to hang that light. So it's good that we have these ones, and we're going to use 4 of them. There are 4 eye bolts in the light that these will hook right onto. So, and then we can actually adjust the height up and down as needed. I have a feeling we're going to get it to one height and kind of leave it there. This is not your normal LED light. This one is going to be a real blast. It's going to light this room up like it's full sun. Well, there you go. Frame is built. Nice and sturdy. A lot sturdier than that other frame. And right now I've just got the fluorescent light hanging on there. When I do put up the LED, there's going to be 4 of these hangers, and they will probably go on either side. Here, there, and there. And that will give it the absolute most amount of strength that it can give. So that this should easily hold 100 plus pounds, and the light is about 70 pounds, so we're good there. Just gonna check. Let's have a little look, see how the seeds are doing. I've had them soaking here for a while. Let's see if I can get them up open here and take a look at what's going on inside. Oh yeah. See those tails? We're getting germination. That's good. That's a really good sign. Well, we got quite a bit done today. I think I'm gonna call it a day and wait for a few more days for more tails to pop out of those seeds. It's probably gonna take potentially up to a week, you know, for all the tails to pop out. Once the tails popped out far enough, I'm going to put them directly into these solo cups. So this is a COCO core in the, it's the Grow It COCO core, and I put that into the solo cups, so the seedlings will be going directly into the solo cups. And the reason I'm not putting them into like starter cubes or something like that is because the solo cup will give them a big enough root zone that we can actually get them up to their 3rd set of leaves. And then when they get to the 3rd set of leaves, boomo, we put it on 12 and 12. And we leave it on 12 and 12 for a few days. I'd say 4 or 5, maybe 6 days tops. And then we go back to 18 and 6. And what that period of 12 and 12 does is it says, oop, it's time to flower. So they start to shoot up. And then they'll put out hairs or they'll put out balls. And you'll be able to tell which one's female and which one's male. And then putting them back into 18 hours a day of light, we'll put them back into the veg cycle. So that's simply to identify what sex they are. We really don't need any males this round. All we want are females. And in particular, we want 9. And I've got 17 solo cups. So if we can get 9 females out of these, into these 17 solo cups, I can choose the best ones out of those and use only those. But I know I'm going to get some males, you know, so fingers crossed, we're going to get at least 9 females, because we're going to have a 3x3 arrangement in here for 9 plants. Okay, just one more thing I want to say before we finish for the day, and that's you know, when it comes to solo cups, I know you guys know better, but you know, you got to drill holes in the bottom of them just so they have drainage. You don't want to put them directly into solo cups without the holes in the bottom. So I stack them up in a stack and just take the drill, and you know, I'll drill like half a dozen at a time, and that way it just makes it a lot quicker and easier, but definitely make sure there's drainage in those solo cups. Good morning, it's Sunday, February 1st, 2026, and you can see we've done a little bit more work here. I've got, we do have some sprouters coming up there. That's a good thing. If some of them don't come up, we've got a backup plan right in here. So there's lots of sprouting ones there. These ones, these old seeds, not so much. I do think there is one that or two that might go, and I'm really hoping they do because they were good strains. You see we've got the window blacked out pretty much. We put a blanket up. The blanket only came down to here, unfortunately, and you can see there's just a little bit of light down here. So we got a blanket, and then we have a tablecloth. That's what the white is, the tablecloth, and put it white side out because it's the most reflective part of the tablecloth. The other side is red, so it's not going to do a lot of reflecting. So it will actually kind of act like lay flat on the wall and reflect light, and that's a good thing. So let's get busy, get things rolling. You know, living in you know, Land's End, basically, of Nova Scotia. Land's End is what they call the end way down at the other end where Yarmouth is, and you know, we live near Yarmouth. So to try to find hydroponic supplies in Yarmouth, it's like, no way. I mean, there's one greenhouse there that carries some things, you know, but not everything. We managed to get our tubing, you know, so we got some tubing that, no, you probably can't see that in there. Anyway, we do have black tubing. We got that, which is good. And we've got, you know, our petcock. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a petcock up top so that we can turn the water off going into the table, and then we'll have a T fitting with another petcock for turning it on and off going out that way towards the window. And right here is the window, and we should be able to access it by just simply lifting up on the bottom here a little bit and then opening the window. Just you only have to open the window like a half an inch or so, and that tubing will go right out there, and that's where we'll be draining the water out of the res when we're done with it and we do a res change. As far as water coming in from the shower downstairs, I've tried a lot of stuff to try to adapt fittings and run a hose and, you know, tubing and all this stuff, and then I thought, why didn't I think of this? I'm just going to fill up buckets. So I've got some 5-gallon buckets, 20-liter buckets. I'll take one of those, I'll take it into the shower, I'll fill it 3/4 full, I'll dump it into the res. I'm thinking maybe 4, possibly 5 buckets of water. And I think that's just easier to do than trying to put a special fixture on the end of the shower and head and you know, running tubing all the way down here. Yeah, no, forget that. We're just going to simplify, go with the bucket, and that should take care of that, right? So I'm going to get busy trying to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, you can see there's a bit of kind of a light down here. You can see the redness of the tablecloth, and that's kind of where the blanket ended because it wasn't quite wide enough to double up and go all the way down. So I'm going to take this, which came out of the photo bio light, and I'm going to cut it into strips. And I can do 2 strips. You can see it's about halfway up, and then I'm going to put them back behind here just to block this bit of light down here. It's not a lot of light, and maybe I'm being overcautious, but you don't want any light pollution in your room whatsoever. So I doubled up on this sheet of styrofoam, and basically it's going to make it so that we can go all the way across. So I'm just going to lift up the tablecloth. I'm going to put these in behind, and that should take care of this light. Let me turn off the light on the camera and you can see it better. There you go. So yeah, you can see the light and how it comes through. Put those things up there. That should take care of that. Now we do have this window down here. This is where we're going to be putting the drain. I'm thinking I'll put this piece over here. It's nice and light. I can just slip it up, make enough room to get the hose down underneath and out the window. Okay, so all the stuff's in the window. Let's give her a test. I'm just going to unplug this timer. See how dark it is in here when I unplug the timer. Wow. See, there's just a little bit of residual light coming through that window. I don't think it's enough to make a difference. So I think we're good to go. Okay, next I'm going to take all these strips of lay flat, which again is all we can get, being in the middle of nowhere. But if I tape all these pieces together, you see they're long strips, it will cover the table. So it's looking good. Covering the table is the most important part. Covering the window is secondary. I would have liked to have had enough lay flat black and white plastic to put up on the window, but unfortunately we were unable to get some at the local greenhouse supply store, which has a little hydroponics section, which doesn't have a lot. So we can't count on them for much, so we have to get creative and take what we've got and make the most of it. So that's all for February 1st, 2026. I've changed things around a little bit, so now I've got the trays put end to end under the light. So you see that light is just perfect for holding two standard size trays. And also everybody's getting decent light. I got the lights down nice and close. You can see the seedlings are coming up. We're hoping to get more. If we aren't getting more, we have more ready. So no problem there. And you might also notice how dark it is in here now. So with the light all blocked off from the window, it's dark in here even in the day, and that's kind of what we wanted. In fact, maybe I can just show you how dark it is in here. I'll just do it like that, and there you go.